for each of us to navigate our way in life through, in this very dramatic, challenging age of human history and Earth evolution, it requires sources of insight that go beyond simple strategies for just getting ahead or coping with life, but to find our way to a place where we can be open to an encounter with the numinous requires entering into a crucible of transformation, a place of great stresses and tensions of intolerably incompatible opposites, where in some sense we must go through a dying to the shallower life and the narrower identity, so that we can enter into an encounter with depths and heights that are far beyond the parameters of our ordinary consciousness, which is for most of us shaped by a relentlessly consumerist, disenchanted modernity. Such a crucible of transformation, it can emerge in many, many ways. It can happen through powerful rituals, non-ordinary states of consciousness, a wilderness vision quest. It can happen in a sacred medicine journey, an ayahuasca ceremony, breath work, deep experiential therapy, Jungian analysis. It could be a spontaneous spiritual emergency or a near-death experience. Here, I want to make a shout out to our own Jesse Estrin and his brother Elliot. They bring the amazing testimony of many near-death experiences to the public. By the way, a lot of raining and winds today here where I live. If I suddenly disappear, that's what happens. But I think we're holding on so far. So it could be a near-death experience, as I said, or a spiritual emergency, such as Stan Groff developed such a helpful understanding of and ways of responding to. It could also be, though, a severe illness. It could be a major accident. It could be the tragic loss of a beloved. It could be a terrible life failure. All of these, the sacred medicine journeys, the powerful ritual, all of these create the possibility of a liminal passage through dying into another mode of being. The transcendent function emerges at that point, and grace can occur. I wonder if I've got... Jung wrote this in 1945, August 20th, so he would have just turned 70 at that point, just as the Second World War is ending. He's also been through his near-death experience by this point, a very powerful one that happened the year before. It had a really big influence on him that he wrote about in Memories, Dreams, Reflections. But this letter is a powerful one. Often, a lot of his best articulations are in his personal letters. Somehow freed him. Somehow, when he was writing for the public, with some exceptions, like Answer to Job, when he was writing for the public, he kind of hedged things more and became maybe more prosaic, but sometimes when he would be writing a letter, he would really deliver. So Frau Frobe, she had written him about the conflict that she felt between her duties to her family and her responsibilities to her career and the demands of each. And he wrote this letter. Dear Frau Frobe, there can be no resolution, only patient endurance of the opposites which ultimately spring from your own nature. You yourself are a conflict that rages in itself and against itself in order to melt its incompatible substances, the male and the female, I would put it the solar and the lunar, to de-essentialize it from gender, in the fire of suffering, and thus create that form which is the goal of life. Everyone goes through this mill, consciously or unconsciously, voluntarily or forcibly. We are crucified between the opposites and delivered up to the torture until the reconciling third takes shape. That's the transcendent function that can only emerge when one has held the agonizing tension kind of loyally enough, not throwing it off into one or the other. Do not doubt the rightness of the two sides within you, and let whatever may happen, happen. The apparently unendurable conflict is proof of the rightness of your life. A life, that's an amazing sentence. The unendurable conflict is proof of the rightness of your life. A life without inner contradiction is either only half a life or else a life in the beyond, which is destined only for angels. But God loves human beings more than the angels. With kindest regards, yours sincerely, C.G. Jung. That's this trickster coming in there at the end about God loving human beings more than the angels, which some theosophists believe as well. I mean, not putting it in that way, though.